Welcome back to the Martinliedtke channel. We're going to take a look at this statement by Lord Macaulay's address to the British Parliament in 2nd of February 1835. I have travelled across the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such calibre, that I don't think that we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual, cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old ancient education system, her culture, for if the Africans think that all things foreign and English are greater than their own, they will lose self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. Well, he's a bit of a bastard, isn't he? There were no beggars in Africa in 1835, so I can only imagine what has happened since then. But the information that they give us about Africa is, well, British television is more or less negative. You can actually go there for yourself. But if you look in the old maps, this one is 15th century map of the Mediterranean. You may make out Italy's boot there. But if you see North Africa, there is no Sahara Desert. And as you can see, you've got these Tartarian type beautiful cities littering what is supposed to be a desert. But as you can see, in late 1400s, there is no desert in North Africa. There is a flourishing civilization. Okay, 500 years ago, guys, there's a flourishing civilization, no Sahara Desert. Okay, I would even go as far as to say no pyramids, because you don't see any on any of these maps. And then something happened. But in 1835, Africa is still in a golden era. Here's one of the gates into Cairo. You can see the old stonework here, but as you can see, impoverished people begging at the gates. And what are these things? These little, it's got ship's wheel and this thing for scooping up. One can only even imagine. Very sinister. And then we see that the survivors of whatever happened went to the wilderness. Now, I'm sure they've had indigenous people with advanced culture and technology prior to, this time. I think what was going on in the past was a highly technological society, more so than now. They lead us to think that we're the pinnacle of culture and society, but I really do think that we are in the dark ages, and I really do think that we have a long way to go. And now AI, making it look like it's been there all along. The city of Lango. Now, this is the type of city you would expect to see in the past. It's not exactly mud huts, is it? It's more like city blocks. And you can see the ruins of old civilization. Have you a look? So something terrible happened to Africa. There's no doubt about it. Maybe more than once to make the sand happen, and the sand being silica, being possibly human remains. One can only wonder. But they did have a golden era not so long ago. This is from a Dubray type of, what is Dubray? Dubray, Theodore Dubray's artworks of visits to Africa. And you can see that they got sort of silks, and they've got a king who's got a scepter, and they've got, these are not exactly mud huts. These are what look like buildings. As you can see, there's something sinister going on when the Dutchmen turn up. These are the type of civilizations that you can see in the desert today. This one is in Algeria. I can only imagine this giant futuristic society looking like this, up and running. One can only imagine how fantastic it all was, really, not long ago. The famous buried temples of Ethiopia. And then you see these Ethiopians here. Apparently, they're protecting, according to the mainstream, the Ark of the Covenant, which apparently the gatekeeper of this building gets cataracts because of the amount of radiation pouring out of it. But regardless, these temples are all over this mountainside, and they are buried deep in the ground. I don't think you would put a window and then bury it. It is much more likely that this is an old world temple with a window, and all of this mud buried it and they just dug it out. Don't you think that's more likely? Yeah, you can see little doorways going into underground temples there. Now, apparently, if you was to cause any nosy business with what they're hiding in Ethiopia, which is definitely something, an army turns up. So you've got to be really, really careful there. So yeah, they're protectors of custodians of some ancient information and technology is my thinking. But I definitely think this is evidence for mud flood, especially with the window. You wouldn't put a window in something and bury it. It makes no sense. And this is what the Congolese king, the late king of Congo, successor of his father from San Salvador, which is Central America, in 1892. As you can see, they got a monarchy. They got all the same business going on as the British monarchy in the past. In the modern day, what do we know? Well, from images that I'm seeing on YouTube, they've got more food, fresh food and stuff than we have in Britain. In fact, they've got stuff now. And they're probably, if you go to the ATM in Africa, yeah, it probably says, do you want to donate money to Britain? Because it's all ass backwards now. It used to be the other way around. But they've got like beautiful, fresh foods, and the society is pretty groovy, I think. And I think it's a safe place as well, which Britain is not. But they were in a golden era. And, it's really sad to think, how far away from that they have come. Let's have a look at some of these evidences for a greater civilization. You can see in the Cosmographia that the whole of North Africa is full of these beautiful buildings. And as you can see, no such thing as a Sahara Desert. And you have deciduous trees as well, which you only have in season climate. You do not get any snow in any of these old maps. I don't think snow existed. So the same sort of giant cities you can see here in Spain. I don't know, maybe Granada or Seville, maybe, but it's just this massive city on the Iberian Peninsula. And then in North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, all these same types of fairy tale buildings, massive cities, all in the interior of what is now the Sahara Desert, and mountain ranges which no longer are there, turned to dust. Africa. So I'm not sure what's happening with the peoples there, but they do not look like Black Africans. In fact, this guy's getting chased by what looks like, I don't know, a gazelle. I don't know what's going on there. And he's obviously white, as they are here. You get down into West Africa, it's a bit of a change. So that's the Libyan interior. No sign of any desert in the Cosmographia Atlas. Just beautiful big old cities, even named, most of them. But if you had me to go and explore, you could find the existence using these maps. There's Barbaria there. Barbaria, which is Tartaria, because it's the same word vibrationally. Barbar, Tartar. Okay. And as you get down to West Africa, where Nigeria, Ghana is, it's still these unbelievable cities. Look at this. They look more German than anything. The tops of mesas, maybe. Yeah. But you can see that there are indigenous peoples battling one another. But check these flags. What is this? And these, look at this. Isn't that something for bacteria? Or it looks like, hazardous materials. But if you're wondering what these are, I think they're waypoints on the old way of keeping maps. longitude and latitude didn't really exist, as you can see. I think they're following ley lines and energy lines, which are denied in the modern day by quackery and science. What would they say about this, academia guys? Have you seen them approach this on any mainstream? Oh, look, Africa's covered in amazing cities. We're supposed to be like jungle or desert or something. Use West Africa, not really indigenous the way we think, and they are battling butt naked, but it is hot. I bet in hot countries nobody was wearing clothes in the past because I don't think they, had any problems with all of that. Deciduous trees. And the size of the cities, guys, just mind-blowing. And also the Arabian Peninsula, which is, as you know, where Mecca is, etc., Riyadh, is in fact green as well. Okay, so and here we have what look like Caucasian armies. So there's Nubia, and Arabia is beautifully in green, as you can see, and Syria, the same buildings worldwide, because I feel that is Tartaria. Arabia there. Beautiful, the same castles. And this is supposed to be the Red Sea, where, that business happened with Moses and the Pharaoh's army. Or is it the Reed Sea? Okay. So let me just use this moment to welcome you all to mindblow channel, Flat Earth British. I'm glad you could be here today, guys. We got lots more content to come on this channel. Just make sure you subscribe if you like this video. So in Brazil, over the other side, the other side of the Atlantic, they got these same buildings and towers and roofs with antiquitech, but it looks like they're chowing down there. Maybe I can't imagine what is really going on. So this is, excuse me, hydraulic architecture. So this is plans for basically pumping water inside some sort of building here, which is mind-blowing because they were doing that. With the star forts, here's another map. Now this is a confuser for the reason being is, it is a screen save, is the desert itself is there on this map, okay? But it stops by this mountain range, which we call the Congo range. And what you see below there is all green. So it looks like the desert just started then and then just encroached all the way down to here because the desert is not that small. And I don't think, that the blank information, the pyramids are even in a lot of these old maps. You'd think they would be, but they're not prominent in the Cosmographia. They're not in that one there. So I think that they are pretty modern. There's an old map from Kirchter's collection, mind-blowing as it is, under the Mongolian Eye, where basically the Gobi Desert is in the modern day, was a giant aquifer. So it's still under there today, and maybe it's dried out because it looks like a giant lake bed today. But it's a great depression in the Earth's surface, and we're going to look at why that might have happened right now. So yeah, you can see in these old maps, there is no snow. There's Antarctica is nowhere where it's supposed to be, and it looks like it's highly populated. And Africa, as you can see, there's a lot going on in Africa. So yeah, according to mainstream, we all came out of Africa, humanity, not a test tube or anything, out of Africa. So yeah, Baghdad over to Persia is a crazy, in like a really early period, highly technological circled fort, the round city. See the same thing for Jerusalem, all that water being fed in as well when it's the center of a desert. Highly technologically looking, I must say. In Britain, well, as you can see, most of Britain in AD 500 was in fact Welsh. You can see, and Scots and Irish, but over here you can see these blue bits. So that is the blue invaders, the Norse or whatever. So yeah, Life Science reported a few years ago that the Sahara Desert was once a lush and populated. No crap. So yeah, it looks like that, and it was like that. And there was giants where Lake Chad is, a giant lake as well, or lakes, which are no longer there. This is the Pierre Rees map, the famous Pierre Rees map, and the uh, Phoenician admiral, and he'd mapped Antarctica as being populated in green, and he put a lot of juice down on his map for Africa. Giant buildings, and lots and lots and lots going on. And these maps were supposed to be, according to Pierre Rees, he said that he got them from earlier sources, so pre-apocalypse maps on vellum, which survived. Maybe. So yeah, it's no coincidence that these deserts are all in one straight line. Okay, now you could think that this is because, we get temperate zones, and then the across the equator, but in like where Ecuador is in South America, it's all green and lush, so that's not the case there. So you can see a line that comes across the Sahara Desert, which was green, across the Arab Peninsula, which was green, across the Fertile Crescent into Persia, which was green. There is no longer any of it. And then there's this last depression right here where the Gobi Desert is. Could it be that a comet came along here, scraped the surface clean, and melted it, and literally turned everything into sand, which was a mud flood because it was a vitrification? Because, look at the little bunny down there. A vitrification caused through a comet. There it is, the eye, which is a giant depression, and we know that there's water underneath that, a giant aquifer, and it's just north of the Himalayas, next to Afghanistan. There. So it could be there is a comet report in the first millennium AD. Obviously, I can't verify that happened, but there wasn't some sort of extinction event near that vitrified forts in Scotland, and here in where that arrow is, Mohenjo-Daro, the Hittites, there's melted buildings, vitrified forts on the same line. So I think that it was heat that happened as well, but definitely an apocalyptic event. And I think let's try and pinpoint it. So 100 years before Macaulay's nasty Parliament statement in 1729, Pierre van der Haar was engraving Africa. Let's take a look, shall we? I can share this with you in descriptions and get a deeper insight into what it was like 100 years before. So yeah, in 500 years prior to now, it was beautiful, full of greenness, full of deciduous trees, full of palaces and cities, which are no longer there. And then in 1835, it's reported that they're still in a golden era. Okay. I wonder if he ever mentioned that the desert was there in 1835. That would be highly interesting. So let's have a look at the maps of where his journey was. So Congo, which became Belgian, belonged to Belgium, and Angola, who had a nasty ass war with South Africa back in the day. My friend was involved in. Dave, my war hero buddy. And here is like proper king, looks like a bit of a Roman, got the crown on, got the scepter, Phoenician lion, very Phoenician theme going on with the shields, the pillar broke, the lions, yeah. Okay. So Angola, so we're quite far down into Africa in these maps here. The Congo, so the darkest Africa right here. And, we don't really know much about these regions. We don't know much about Africa, full stop, really, do we, guys? Outside of BBC documentaries by can't stand that guy, David Attenborough. I don't want to ever hear his voice again. As soon as he comes on now, I'm like, BBC. Turn it off. Okay, so let's have a look at the Congo. All right, they got cities and what look like Anglican churches. What's going on? Where's the mud huts? And where's the grass skirts? They got it going on, as you can see. Okay, guys. So oh, that palm oil. People just run up them palm trees, don't they, and get them palm dates out. It's no problemo whatsoever. In fact, they've been doing that since time immemorial, haven't they? Whenever, how long that it's been. So here's the meeting party on the river. Wow, nice palm trees and all of the juice on the hill. Is this Congo? Salvador, Spanish name. The Congo. Wow, it's all up in the air. Look at the size of this fort. How is this even darkest Africa? Look, history's just so extracting the urine. Right, let's have a look. This shows their cultures and practices as well. So let's have a look. Well, they've definitely got a monarchy. And I think it is connected to the British monarchy, that was, because they got the same sort of caper going on. 3 rings, like Olympic rings, crown, carpets, and of course the throne. And look at their fine silks. I'm not big on them built boots though, but you know, fashion of the day. Okay, wow. So these look like a load of Europeans which are biting the dust. They've got a charter trying to sell him something, and he's like, "Who, me?" No, I don't think so. When they try, wow, nice chandelier. When they're trying to, he's like, "Don't trust him. I don't like the look of him." He's like, "I don't like the look of him either." It's like, and he's got the face like, "Yeah, you ain't pulling the wool over my eyes." So yeah, this is like 1729. This was issued. It's before that, like so say 70, just after 1700. These maps and these images, engravings, and as you can see, that is in Congo, guys. History, mainstream history, should be ashamed of itself. Look at the staircase. My God. So we got some missionary-looking people. And there is the African king up on his throne. His very, very high throne. Not even the king of England gets that very, very high throne. And the Westerners, the Europeans, are sucking up. I think the Europeans, they could be indigenous to that Congo, or we know. Look at this Phoenician ball going on. The vegetation of the Phoenicians. He's covering a one eye. And they're shouting stuff up like, "Oh, hail you." So yeah, wow. Look at this building. Congo. Wow. Brian Splatter. Let's have a look what else we got going on. Let's just give this a little translation. Okay, the King of Congo giving audience to foreigners. Where we got that. Clothing and weapons, and great lords of Congo going to war. Okay, forms of clothing, ability of the Congo, clothing of women of Congo. Let's check this out then. Wow, look at this stuff. It's just like the Romans. Oh, God. Every time then there's trouble, isn't there? Jesus saves. And a penalty kick out. What? What's that? Bad artwork, maybe. Okay, let's have a look at this. Wow, nice F ethers. There's a lot of similarities with what you see with the Floridians of North America and the people of Africa this time. It's a lot of Caucasians on drums. This guy's not looking very black at all, is he? He's on the drum and he's on the cow horn. In fact, none of them are black, are they? Okay. And he's got bells for a belt. Ooh, how cool is that? They know about sound and healing, which is the future. The future. Okay. Somebody explain the city in 1700 with a giant skyscraper in Congo to me, please. In Africa. Africa, by mind. Anybody? In comments, explain how this is possible. Google, ask ChatGPT, how this is possible? It's not possible, is it? Because they're lying. And the lead van to Heart Atlas is Show the True History. My God almighty. Wow. Look at this. Jugs out. There's no, they're just white people in the Congo. These are the females of the Congo with giant cities, and they're white. Oh, I don't know what's going on with poor Brian. Let's have a look at this. How the Congo are carried in a litter when traveling. Okay. Animals and buffalo and stuff. Okay, let's have a look at this. Oh, yeah, I've seen this happen in color. I got color images of this caper. Just carry them around like they don't have to walk for themselves. So maybe there's just like, I don't know, the black people are doing like the slaving bit still by the looks of it. And no, I've seen there's a black monarchy though. How's that working? So the horns on there. Cool. Okay, let's move on. It's difficult to explain because it's not going with what we know or what we think we understand about history, like at all. Right, that's made of wood and it's a church. They could have easily have knocked this up the missionaries. I'll give them that, but not that big stone affair earlier. So, you know, they're doing baptisms, as you can see. Welcoming you to the Phoenician paradigm. It's a special kind of voodoo. Fully full of holes. It's called holy water. Let's have a look at this. So yeah, if you're a European, just lay down and a load of people will carry you around. These are the inhabitants of the Congo, guys. Okay, well, they're not very black, are they? Like, at all. But they are black people. There's a dragon. There's a dragon. Elephants as well. There's the elephants. I can't see no elephants. Any fans? Oh yeah, there's the elephants. Wow, look at that, got a real dragon. So dragons existed 1700 in the Congo, as well as massive cities, and then freaky zebras. They were called zebras then as well. Where they got the name from? I wonder who named them zebra. Giant cities again. But oh yeah, they're lovely, aren't they, zebras? I've seen them. Donkeys are awesome. I love donkeys. They're amazing. They're like really kind and everything. Some Pauls. Something like Farika. Oh, very lovely. Okay, let's move on. The city of Luanda. Okay, this is Luanda. Have you heard of this? I think this is South Africa, isn't Rwanda? Okay, wow. So the people of Luanda, not Rwanda, Luanda, are she got the Phoenician mirror. It's not a mirror if it's in Africa as well, or it's a communicator of some sort. Okay, let's have a look at these. So what are the, oh, these are definitely black looking people. What the hell is going on? Okay, then ripping someone apart. And is this intestines? No, he's got a pipe coming out of his. Right, let's see what the caption says about this. Africans who eat men. Okay. So cannibalism's a thing. Worldwide, apparently, in the past. And now everyone just goes to McDonald's and it's all just accepted. No, mate, it's chicken. I bought it in KFC. What are you saying? Well, it looks like human flesh. It's not human flesh, mate. As you got a little bit of blood coming out of your nose, but right by there. Have I? Yeah, that's like a symptom of cannibalism. No, I ain't cannibalism, mate. I ain't one. Do you know where people go in Britain when they haven't eaten? Nuneaton. They go to Nuneaton. So yeah, you see black people. What are they doing? Chucking heads off, filling up trunks with body bit. So in this, according to this Dutchman, Van der Haar, right? So like the loads and loads of white people. And orangutan. I love orangutan. They got beautiful faces. Not their bottoms are not that beautiful though. Just don't look, innit? Jesus Christ, this is like it went from beauty to a horror film. So yeah, this guy in 1835, he obviously didn't go to this area, did he? Custom of sacrificing men in Angola. So your sacrifice is the way to go in Angola, apparently. It's like, yes, we must kill him. Mozambique. That's more like it. Still, them threads they're wearing are not very African, are they? What you'd expect, shields and capes, and check her out. Mozambique, let's have a look. So further in. And the Cape of Good Hope. So let's have a look at South Africa. See if we can get some Durban going. Wow, there's a lot going on in South Africa, Cape Town. I bet there were people on the beaches back then, exactly the same as now. Maybe they were drinking margaritas and some topless bathers. I don't think they were wearing anything on the beach back then because it was like probably not even. It would be weird to wear clothes back then. It's like, well, what's he got on? I don't know. It's embarrassing. He's covering all his things. I know. What are they doing? You see that? And well, who's building the Stafford then? Look at that mother. Whoa, got a tower and everything. There it is there in Mozambique. They're sailing and there's a big Stafford. So they didn't build it, did they? If it's already there. Holy cow. The weapons and clothing of Hottentots. Oh, look at these people. Okay. So these, you get indigenous peoples. Must be just the city folk that are looking all schwanky. And the indigenous people are maybe just chowing down because there's not much food around. I don't understand it. What is that? I think this is human remains, isn't it? And whilst the X is scarved into herself. No, snakes. It's snakes. And it's him. And there's his wife. Wow, look at her hair. She's not even... Wow, the curly blonde hair. So yeah, it was multicultural Africa in the past. It wasn't primarily black at all. It was all mixed, black and white people together. How groovy. So I think they did have a golden civilization. And I think the empire itself, in a short space of time, managed to wreck Africa through boycotting this and sanctioning that. And just, if I was in power, I would cancel all debts to Africa so the countries there would have a fair go at making money, get a decent GDP behind them instead of just giving it all away to Britain and other countries every single year, which is disgusting. You should just say, nah, man, default it all. You do you, boo. Go and build some stuff. Go and do some infrastructure. In fact, they should do that in Britain because the infrastructure's fallen to pieces. Everyone is really not doing well in Britain. It's quite upsetting to go out nowadays. See how unhappy everyone is with one another. What's going on there? Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look what's going on in this hut. Oh, they're long, aren't they? Well, there's a king sat in bed and some people stood around him. I mean, he might be a king if he looks like he's got a crown on, so yeah. So yeah, like I said, when it's hot, they don't wear much. Okay. And, ooh. Okay, they got large, like sweat houses, and they have a big battle. Well, whose side are you on? Blondie? It's really weird. kind of like just giant armies of white people and white people. This is Africa and the Amazons as well, obviously. Yeah, it is the Amazons because they burn their boobie as part of the initiation to be an Amazon. She's an Amazon. She's blonde hair and an Amazon. In Africa, the courage of the femmes. Cradle garden of King of Sofala, funeral pomp of Cephalus, and courage of war of women of the kingdom of Monomotopia, which look exactly like Amazon ladies that I've seen in other booklets. Wow, Mozambique, Madagascar. He was Madagascar. Wow, it's populated. Lots going on. The Phoenicians. So what do we know of Madagascar? Hardly anything. It's one of the biggest islands in the world or something. I couldn't even tell you the capital's name. Do you know the capital's name? I did used to know it. It's not something that just slides off the tongue. So yeah, huge islands. We know nothing about it. So the clothing of people in Fort Dauphin. All right. He looks Indian. I love them water buffaloes. They're really groovy. Okay. Clothing of the Rhodinians. Clothing of the weapons of Magashki. The Madagascans. Let's check out the Madagascans. I don't know too much about it, really. Okay. Well, the ruling class indeed Caucasians. And have fine silks and everything else. 1700 odd. Crazy. Oh, I don't want to see animals being killed like that. No. And at night, dance on the fire and drink what's out of that bucket over there. Oh, I feel all weird. Oh, I've come over all queer. So, they're moving stones. Wow. So I'm guessing a funeral. I don't know why they're moving a stone. Let's reduce that and find out what's going on here. Funeral of a... Is this Rhodesian? It is a Rhodesian. It's a Rhodesia. Oh God, they had some few troubles, didn't they, in Zimbabwe or Rhodesia? Remember Mr. Smith? Oh, God, and then they had Mugabe in. God, he was a barrel of laughs, wasn't he? Phew. Still, he was all right with Queen Elizabeth. They knocked about together. They probably went and visited Peter Sutcliffe on a Sunday. Where are you going? I'm going to meet Frank Bruno, Robert Mugabe, and the Queen at 6 o'clock. I think Jimmy's coming down for a cup of tea. This is British freaking culture and establishment for you guys. Boycott it all. Boycott the world. Anyway, my new massive hippie movement is going to be coming soon. So everyone is like, wah, wah. Will be not actually going wah, wah anymore. More whoa, whoa. Be epic. Oh. Anyway, make sure to subscribe to my channel, guys. I will be back very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. But yeah, well, it's really sad to see that Africa is being treated in such a nature. All the documentaries we see, Live Aid, flipping famine apparently in Ethiopia, and it's all a psyop, and there's all these people, and every time they show us Africa, it's a little kid covered in flies. Yet, that ain't the case at all. They must be sick as shit. Excuse my language, sick of that, because it injures their tourist industry. It's like, where are you going on holiday? Lagos. Lagos, said nobody ever. But I'm sure it's very nice, except for the insect attacks. And, you don't want to be kidnapped going on holiday, do you? Wow. Not unless you're into that sort of thing, obviously. So some people are unkidnappable. Oh, Mount Tidy in Tenerife. Can you imagine the triads kidnapping me? I would be super annoying. Chop off his finger. He talked too much. You talk too much. You never shut up. Imagine, they'd be like swallowing their tongues and stuff. So I've been to Tenerife. I actually flew into it on a plane. Not like into it, landed on an airport, obviously. It did not look like that, Mount Tidy. In fact, Tenerife did not look like that at all, at all. So what that is going on, and from the bird's eye perspective, what's he standing on? Is he in a blue? How's he making this image? And Malta, oh, I hope they have the juicy starfall of Valletta. Oh, Valletta, please don't let her catch me picking up a sweater. Let's have a look at this. So yeah, and Gozo, which is insular. So there's a few islands, isn't there? It's boiling up, my Malta. Your starfolks in the middle. So yeah, it used to be a British sort of enclave in World War II. Germans apparently bombed it. It was one of the most bombed places in the whole of history, apparently. And then you got the Knights of Malta. Yeah, they are. Maltese Cross. The whole island was given a Maltese Cross for bravery, for surviving the constant bombardment. The people of the East End of London, they didn't get shit. 30,000 of them popped it. Really nuts. So yeah, this starfall is proper old. I've seen so many really early depictions. Wow, the starfall of Valletta. Oh, yeah, I like the Maltese people. There's a lot of them here in South Wales. Get a lot of malts in Barry and Maltesers as well. They melt in your mouth, not in your hand. Don't worry. I'm sure they hear that a lot. So, oh my God, what's happening here? Underground places in Malta. Let's have a look. All this is underground. What? This is where the people hid out then when the bombs was dropping. And all these ancient tunnels. The old world, man. Armageddon proof, all that stuff, innit? Underground grotto of Malta. Wow, guys. If Armageddon happens, let's go to Malta. Mind you, we would be surviving any Armageddon anyway. Who gives a shit? Not that it'll happen. Anyway, peace and love to you all. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I will be back very soon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it in comments, guys. And there's much more to come very soon on Flatearthbritish. See you soon. Stay epic.